Good morning. High rising. Early start. Let's have a conversation. I missed y'all. I've been busy up somebody's nose, and I have not been able to dedicate my energy to offering up truths. How have y'all been? How is it going? I need to discuss something that's on my spirit, and I'm definitely going to take some of these clippings and add them to my profile, add them to the YouTube page, because the information I think is so important. I love what I do. I love what I do because it shows me how spiritually in tune I am. It shows me how divinely protected I am. It shows me how much of an impact I can have on the spirits around me. It shows me how much of a communion I can create with the spirits around me, and I just become so thankful, and I want to be able to provide clarity about some really important things when it comes to spirituality and the dead to the collective, because there's so much hype around it. They wasn't ready. There's so much hype around the dead. There's so much there's so many misconceptions, so many falsehoods, and I want to be able to provide clarity. So I'm gonna give a brief story about what happened to me last night, and then just explain the truth about talking to the dead. If you're willing to hang out, greetings. Let me ask, have you guys spoken to the dead before? Have you ever communed with those whom have passed away? Had full conversations? All right, story time. I'm so excited. I love doing this. So, last night, there was no plan in it. Last night, I gave a reading to an individual. I gave an oracle reading to an individual, but within the oracle reading, I was able to commune with his ancestor, his grandmother. This was my first time doing this on behalf of someone else. Typically, I commune with my own ancestors. Hey, Ricky, I commune with my own ancestors, those who have passed that are a part of me. So this was my first time asking to commune with someone else's ancestor, and it blew both of our minds, right? But the biggest takeaway is what I'm going to talk about after I tell you the story. So the individual that I was giving the reading for, he is a spiritual being as well, right? On his path as much as he can be, very in tune to the necessity for spirituality, but he's experiencing some hesitation because of where he comes from. And anytime you elevate in life, the old you, or the energies that you used to allow within your company, can no longer accompany you, where you're going. So he wanted a reading. He wanted to be able to figure out what was up between, he and I, and then also figure out what was up with his divine mission and purpose and things like that. Dreams, messages. I do dream readings. I can't look at the comments while I'm talking. So, I gave him a reading. He gave me the full name and the initials of his ancestor. And I opened up I'm sorry, you guys, I'm outside at 1:23 in the rising, and I have to keep an eye out for walking spirits, because they like to mess with me. So, and I was informed just last night that Even when I think no one is there, someone is always watching. It's like I watch my back. Anyway, so crazy. Back to the reading. So he gave me the initials and the name of his ancestor. I did the opening up. There is a Kemetic prayer, if you would, that you call out to allow for your ancestors to commune with you. But here's the thing, before I continue, if you consider yourself to be like a spiritual person, really quickly, just tell me in the comments if you could. If you consider yourself to be a spiritual person, but then you also give honor to the idea of ancestral help, right? Then what does that say about the dead? What does that say about those that have passed away? If they're able to help you and they have quote unquote died, what does that say about that? You know, I just think about that for a second, right? If you're a spiritual person, whether you be Christian, Catholic, whatever, but you still honor the idea of your ancestors assisting you out here, what does that say truly about the dead? Okay, so we're going through the reading. This is his first reading that he's gotten, first oracle reading that he's ever received in his life. So he's a little skeptical. And I told him, I said, before I go into the reading, you have to accept, you have to trust that the message that's coming forth is true. And in fact, that's how it works. Like, they're not going to waste their time unless should you decide, should you accept, unless you accept to receive the message. So he accepts. And then I start communing with his grandmother. And she is telling me all of the things about his upbringing, about the things that pull on his heart, about his vices, so forth and so on. In harmony with the cards. So I'm talking to her. I'm looking at the cards. I'm making sense of the message, and he's sitting over there like, "What the fuck?" Right? And it's taken me a while. He's like, "Okay, just tell me what you got," And I'm like, "Well, there's a part of it that I can't really make out, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read through the cards, and hopefully, while I'm explaining to you the reading, the explanation of what I can't figure out right now will make sense." So I started walking him through the message that I was given by his grandmother, and halfway through, he gets up, storms out of the room, starts cussing, like, "What the fuck?" So forth and so on. I'm not going to continue to talk while you're running around the room. So he comes back, and he's like, and I'm like, what's up? I feel like your energy, you don't trust. I feel like you think I'm, playing games with you, so forth. And he's like, no, just finish the message. So I'm like, okay, it's resonating. Okay, cool. So I am in fact able to make sense of what I couldn't understand before by walking through the reading. At the end of it, I asked him, I said, well, does that make sense? The part that I tried to, dissect. He's like, yeah, but what you said, only she would know. What you said to me, only she would know. Well, I'm like, well, that's kind of how it works. So, but what he said to me after is what I want to talk to y'all about. He said, if you're real, he's talking about me, right? Because now I'm just this mystical person that he's sitting in front of. He said, if you're real, then my religion is fake. I said, whoa, what does that mean? He said, if you are real, my religion is fake, because my religion tells me that the dead knows nothing. Ooh. Which is why I asked y'all early on, if you are a spiritual being, but you honor the idea of ancestral help, then do the dead truly know nothing? Are the dead even dead? And that's what I want to bring clarity to, because I care about the human collective, and I want y'all to be aware of what's actually going on. So every single person that is actually here and having a conscious experience is a unique portion of the Most High, is a unique piece of the Most High. Imagine the Most High being blasted into millions and billions of pieces, and each one comes out as a unique snowflake. That is us. We are the sparks of light from the source of all, uniquely designed inside of skin sacs. Okay? So when you're having your human experience, I just want to make sure that got in. Did that get in? The Most High, the creator of all, life, blasted into millions of pieces, uniquely designed like a snowflake, and you are one of those snowflakes. You are a spark of life that is uniquely designed like a snowflake. There is no other imprint like you, okay? And you have been put inside of a flesh body in order to interact with it, allow it to interact with you so that you can commune and live here upon this physical realm. Does that sink in? Got it. All right. So, if you die, what if it scares you to feel spirits? I'll get to, listen, while I'm doing all of this, if you guys have questions, please put them in the comments, because I will be coming back to the comments. That's like one of my favorite parts of all of this. So, when you die, right? Because I don't even want to say that. We don't die. We don't die. But when your fleshly body expires, because that's what happens. Something may happen out here in this physical realm. You may be attacked and your physical body is no longer able to maintain its life, if you just may get old or sick or whatever the case may be. But what's happening is your physical body is expiring. It is no longer immortal like you are, because life is called life because it is life. If it were anything other than living, then it would not be life. Do you get that? If it were anything other than living, it would not be life. It has to be life because it's living. So life doesn't die. So you don't die. You, the individual snowflake spark from the source, you don't die. Your individual consciousness, your imprint does not die. Your physical body expires. Okay? So since we are here on this physical realm, inside of these physical flesh sacks, since the spirit of us is within these physical flesh sacks, within this physical realm, and that's the only way we can kind of interact normally with the rest of everything going on here, unless we've got like heightened abilities and we can adjust our physical body to be able to vibrate at a frequency where we can interact with the spirit realm, right? Because we all coexist in the same space, the spirit realm and the physical realm. It's just that they are on different vibrational frequencies. You need your body, right? Okay, so if the body has expired, then that means that the source of you, that the spirit of you has gone back to its originator, it's gone back to its designer, it's gone back to its owner, for you to be intelligently and intentionally recycled into a new phase, space, or, place of life. You may come back as a flower. You may come back as a woman. If you were a man, you may come back as a dog. Whatever the Most High finds suitable for the evolution of your unique consciousness, that is what will happen once your physical body expires. So your ancestors, those who have come before you two things. They are, one, written within the physical body that you have, because your mother had to literally create your body from her body, which means that you are her. And you're also whoever she was before her, because that's how it works. So every person before your mother, before your mother, before your mother is inside of your physical flesh. That's how you came to be, right? So your ancestors are actually living. Since your flesh is still alive, right? The flesh itself is separate from the source of you. So this is living, right? But when it expires, that's why it disintegrates and goes back into the earth, just like anything else, like a fruit. A fruit is living, it's electric, right? It's sentient in its own way. It's not going to get up and, walk around and speak like we are, but it's sentient in its own way. It's still living. But once you pluck it from the tree, over time, what happens? It starts to die. It starts to lose its life force because it was pulled away from the tree. Anyway, so your ancestors are not only a part of your physical body, but they are also still existent within the spiritual realm of things. If they have not intentionally been recycled into coming back as a child, or found themselves found themselves in the spirit of a tree, or whatever the case may be, then they are absolutely minding their business within the spiritual realm, because they don't die. The individual snowflakes do not die. It was intentional. Source is intelligent as hell, far beyond what we can comprehend and understand. So McRib sandwich is crazy. Cut it out. So being able to commune with a spirit, if you're a spirit, right? Because that's really what you are. You're just in a physical body. You're not a body. You're in a physical body. So for your spirit to be able to commune with another spirit is natural. And if you're here on this earth to evolve your consciousness, and your ancestors love you, then why would they not commune with you to be able to support you out here with your endeavors? Hence, ancestral support. So if you consider yourself to be a spiritual being, and you honor the idea of ancestral support, then that means that you are okay with communing with your ancestors, the dead. You understand what I'm saying now? So if the Bible, this is where it gets tricky. It's really not tricky. It's actually plain. Now that we've gone through the part of the thing that makes sense, we've made sense out of the fact that there is no death with spirit, right? Just expiration of the physical body. And you always have the ability to commune with your own, because you are spirit. Then the Bible, when it says that the dead know nothing, is contradictory to what we've just made sense of. And that is what stumped him. Because now you're living an experience. You're physically sitting in front of a being that was able to commune with someone who you consider to be dead and unable to know anything, because the Bible that you believe has told you that the dead know nothing. But you've already, before I gave him the reading, let me say this, before I gave him the reading, he has verified many times that I am light, I am good, I am kind-hearted, I am well-intended. My energy is to heal and to help the human consciousness. So I'm not out here, in the devil's work or anything like that. Before I gave him the reading, he gave my energy an okay, a badge of honor, right? So if you know that, if your intuition is saying that I am light, but then I'm able to commune with the dead, with your ancestors, then that means that now you have to reconsider what you've thought this whole time to be true, in fact. And, that is a beautiful thing, because it is absolutely time for us to release ourselves from the constraints of what was written, so that we can start embodying what we truly are, which is a spiritual being. You cannot put constraints on something that you can't even fully conceptualize. You cannot put constraints on something you can't even fully conceptualize. So if your entire existence here in this physical realm as a physical being is to understand all of the ways in which you are what you are, then why would you ever assign yourself and commit to an idea of constraint? This is the way it is, this is the way it is not. That's not fair to the expansiveness of all that you are. And now you're missing out on being able to commune with everything that you are. Everything that was before you is everything that you are. It's intentional. We have opposition here. We have spiritual ops. Okay? Let me put my bag down. See, look, I gotta keep an eye. I gotta keep an eye because I'm looking around. I see people lurking. Anyway, if you consider yourself to be a spiritual being, you have spiritual ops. You have spiritual ops. And they may be physical sometimes. And those spiritual physical ops may confuse your mind and your spirit by delivering and enforcing you to digest something that is in opposition of the truth of who you are. Consider that to be the truth. Consider that to be the case. You know, what it does. For example, say you need help out here while you are fighting your battle as a spiritual being. Say you need help. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters, bitch. You're going to call your ancestors. You're going to call your ancestors. They are here to help you. But if your opposition doesn't want your ancestors to help you, they're going to tell you that the dead know nothing. So that you don't even think that that's something that you can do. And then in fact, if you do try to do that, then you're playing in divination, which is pagan, which is the devil's work. What is going on? We see your surroundings. Ghostbusters! I don't care, that's fine. Oh, meaning like you looking out for me? Are you helping me? Is that what you're saying? You know, I gotta so my point in saying all of that is to say that it is absolutely time. It's actually overtime for us to reconsider what we have been delivered. Reconsider what you have been delivered. If your interest is spirituality, if you have a spiritual calling to get busy out here and do the real work and embody the spirit being that you are, priority to the physical expectations of this realm, then you have to remove the boundaries of what you actually are in order to find the truth of what you are. Okay? Somebody wrote the Bible. Yes, it is filled with truths because guess what? Your ancestors wrote most of it. But that does not mean that it is entirely true. It is a compilation of other works, of other writings, which means not all of it is going to be in your best interest. Not all of it is going to be spiritually applicable to the truth. Some of it may be worded intentionally to confuse you or reassign an internal meaning to something else. You know? So it is time to remove the self-inflicted boundaries of your spirituality so that we can all be out here magical and we can all be out here armied up with our ancestors. When you imagine spiritual aid and support, scriptures, writings, hieroglyphs all say the same thing. Myriads upon myriads of ancestral support. Myriads upon myriads, right? And if you can call upon that to aid you to fight back your opposition, then they truly have no power. They are outnumbered. That is why life is able to continue. Let's talk about that for a second. Why the good always win. In every story, the hero is always victorious. Why is that? Because like that's a story, that is a baseline that you cannot you cannot refute. And this is why. Let's go back to life again. I'm going to get to the questions. Hold tight. As soon as I'm done with this, I will read through these comments, y'all. Life. It is life because it is living. If life stops living, if the source of everything stops being the source of everything, then everything will stop. Even your opposition doesn't want that because they will stop. But the point is, imagine that there is a scale or a circle. You know, the circle of life. Oh, that's a good one. Circle of life. So what helps the circle continue to spin? Because it's a spinning circle. That's what creates the vortex of creation, right? The possibility, the movement to co-create. So what allows it to continue to spin? It's a constant tilt. It's a constant overload. Imagine if things were 50-50, but then life were 54. Then that means that everything else were, what is that, 46? So there's a heavy on a scale that constantly keeps the tip going this way, so that there is a constant circle of life happening. There's a constant movement happening. There has to be. That is why good will always prevail, because the percentile is always going to be heavier on the side of life. It has to be that way. It has to be that way. Perpetual motion. Absolutely. Thank you so much. It has to be that way. In order for all of this to continue on the spiritual realm and the physical realm, it has to be that way. So that means that the myriads upon myriads of support that you have to combat your opposition is always at your disposal. Always at your disposal. And the ways in which they can intervene, you also should remove boundaries about. You know, we feel like we have to go through all of these 369 manifestation methods. We have to go through these write it 100,000 times methods. No. Be aware of what you are, what you're dealing with, and the support that you actually have. Verbalize it, because your word is your bond. Trust and believe yourself and wait on it. That is truly what it is. And then sometimes, because we are out here living in this physical realm, we constantly look at opposition of what our mind and our spirit wants to remain hold of. So repeating it sometimes will absolutely be in your benefit, just to allow it to be deeply sown within you, right? But that's really all you have to do. Be aware of yourself, aware of what you're able to do, aware of the support that you actually have out here. Speak it into existence, because you co-create with the Most High, and wait on it. They cannot touch you. You know, what's another passage? My people perish for a lack of, what is it? For a lack of knowledge, something like that. Basically saying you don't know. The reason that you become faulty, you become subjected to your opposer, is because you don't know the truth. The truth shall set you free. Look, look. I'm dropping them. Pick them up. Join me out here. Shoot, myriads upon myriads. I know y'all see and feel them here with me. I am not alone. You are not alone. Okay. All right, let me look at these comments really quickly, because I want to address. Oh, and before then, again, if you have questions about anything that I've said, please put them in the comments. Also, if you feel inclined to commune with your ancestors and you want some help, hit me up and we can do the thing. We can do the thing. Okay, I'm not going to go all the way back to the top. I'm just kind of scroll and see what I find. I want to learn more. Why do you steal hearts? That's so kind. Much gratitude. Y'all are so funny. Hugs and kisses. What questions do you have? Mage to move. Oh, Mag. Okay. They don't go to higher self and are helpers to understand. They think small, putting the Most High. They don't go to higher self and are helpers to understand. They think small, putting the Most High. I understand what you're saying. It's manipulated to hide the truth of our divinity from us. Exactly. Exactly. If you don't know how powerful you are, if you don't know that you're a superhero, you won't ever activate your powers. Creating new dimension. Do you have questions about your imagination? Can you please get a message from my pet turtle? That is so offensive. Do you have questions about your... We fall 7 times and get back up. It's physics, quantum spin, all things that exist versus things that do not, okay? The perception of life is that positive wins over negative. Perpetual motion. You are so profound. Thank you so much. Abundance rising. Facto. Y'all like her live. She's giving. Oh, exactly. Thank you. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Exactly. Absolutely. You make your ancestors proud. Listen. It is a whole nother world to coexist with your ancestors, because instead of you having eyes to perceive your physical reality and the things that are just mundanely happening, you have to keep an open ear, you have to keep an eye out for the pieces of life that spark your intuition, because that is how they commune. Like, anytime you see something or feel something that does not mirror the parallel, that does not parallel the physical reality and what you're used to, and you are inclined to investigate, that's your intuition telling you that something else is interacting with your consciousness. You know, something has sparked your interest. You are. So to commune with your ancestors, to consider and think and know that at every second of the day, somebody's around. Exactly. I'm telling you, somebody's around. Somebody's looking out for you. Because this is a joint effort. You know, like this battle that we're having right now, this war on earth. I am never closed mind to spirituality. The gentleman that I was giving the reading to, I was telling you guys about at the beginning of the live, he gave me an idea. He was like, yeah, this place that we're living in is absolutely hell. I'm like, what? No, you know, so forth and so on. He was like, you know, no, it really is hell. So I left that conversation. I didn't completely dismiss it, but I left that conversation. I ended up going somewhere else, watching a podcast, and the lady on the podcast said something very similar, but the way she explained it made so much more sense, because she was talking about energetic fundamentals. And she was saying that because the world that we live in is energetically succumb to negativity, then it becomes predominantly negative. Hence, a space of hell. It is constantly evolving in chaos. So in order for us to not be a part of the world, in order for us to not feel like we're living in hell, we have to embody heaven, and we have to co-create heaven with other beings here so that we can tip the scale. It's about understanding what you are, what your power is, and why you have a responsibility to tip the scale. Because this is not hell. This is our heaven. This is our inheritance. You know, everything here is literally at our fingertips to be able to co-create anything that we want. You know, all of the things that we look around and see were built from sand and dirt and clay and water. You know, somebody put the shits together and it just got bigger and bigger. We can do the exact same thing on the positive scale. We can tip the scale and create our heavens on earth. We can co-create our heavens on earth with all of us, so that we're not feeling like we're living in hell, but we're actually experiencing our heaven. So, why did I say that? Oh, because your ancestors know this. when they pass, when their physical body expires, there is a clearing away of the fog, of the forgetfulness, and they become aware of themselves entirely and of what is truly taking place. So obviously they want to be in support of you to be out here fighting for the Most High against your opposition, to bring back the light. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify. So yeah, you have a responsibility as a spiritual being, one, and two, you also have myriads upon myriads of support, so you can for real chill if you know who you are. You just have to find that peace within, and accept it. It's hard to accept it because everything around us says that we're supposed to be falling in line with the expectations of how life is supposed to be, what we're supposed to have, what our relationships are supposed to look like, how much money we're supposed to have. I am falling very short to the expectations of the world around me. I am falling very short to the expectations of the world around me, and finding my peace is a daily task because I am daily reminded that I am falling short of the expectations of the world around me. So that becomes my daily battle. That becomes my number one opposition, is fighting my mind, because every time I look around, I'm reminded that I should have this, or I need to have that, or it's but once you can remove that, exactly. Once you can remove that and you open yourself up to receiving everything else starts to interact with you. And you become more and more confident in being able to call upon the support of the spiritual realm around you within your physical environment. Lack of knowledge, understanding, chakra. Oh, what was that? What was that? Oh man, I do all the time, still getting to know all them. How do I commune with my ancestors? That's a good question. So there are certain abilities that certain beings have. I'm not very good with the vocabulary or the terminology of what they are specifically called, but when they can hear the voices of spirits, or they can hear the presence of spirits, that's called something. When they can see the vibratory silhouette of spirits, that's called something. But if you don't have any of those skills, I would consider, which has worked for me. I can only give you what works for me, okay? I would consider oracle cards, because with oracle cards, I would consider oracle cards that you have created yourself. I created my cards myself. I went to the store, I bought some beautiful stock papers, some like really vibrant, just whatever attracted my spirit. I cut out the size of the cards myself, each one by hand. I have like 136 of them, and I wrote down messages on them that just resonated with my spirit. Random things, intentional things, so forth and so on, right? And then what I did was I asked, knowing, again, remember the knowing that I talked about first, knowing and believing that they are in fact there. All you have to do is create peace within your body, because trauma, emotional trauma, anxiety and things, it ruins your ability to properly perceive your intuition. And remember, I said that they interact with your intuitive space. They interact with your bellow, your internal drum. And that's a very silent space. So finding peace within your body is one thing. And then with your knowing and your confidence, simply vocally ask for them to commune with you. There is a beautiful prayer that I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the live that I do whenever I am ready to commune with my ancestors. It's a Kemetic prayer. Kemetic meaning Cometian, from ancient Egyptian practices, spiritual practices. But what they do is they call on the great ancestors, those that were initially commissioned at the beginning of a very important war, spiritual war. You know, it's like the council, ancestral council of support. And once they called upon these ancestors, then they would start having their meetings. Just like a boardroom, the physical and the spiritual would commune in a boardroom and have their meetings to address the important things, because like I said, myriads upon myriads of assistants. So as long as your physical body and your mind and your spirit is in a place to be able to receive and perceive the realms within and outside of you, then you can absolutely commune with them. So I will recite the prayer. You absolutely don't have to do this, but just feeling the vibratory frequencies of what it sounds like will help you to hear how it is a calling of love and communion with your origin. I'm going to come up to this comment again, but I think it's important to ask for your permission before I say it. Can someone give me permission to recite the prayer prior to? Thank you, Hawk. Okay. Hotep. 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 Hotep de Nasut. Hotep de Nasut usir impu. I sanu patkaru kakao. Kahenkatu kakam. Ka avadu kaseshu kamenkatu. Ka ket nabet nafr swavet. Mia a ampichur Nk a naku e maki. Ma'a keru. Yeah. So while I say it, I have to keep an ear out through my intuitive spaces to ensure that while I am calling each one of the chieftains, if you would, that they are here. I can feel them. I can feel their acceptance to commune with me. And then at the end, Ma'a Keru. I don't say that until I hear them say it back to me, because that's saying we are here and we are ready. So, you know, along my spiritual journey, I learned that when I was taking up metaphysical psychology with Dr. Phil Valentine, who I absolutely adore, if you know him, if you know of him. But I learned about that, and it resonated so much, and I use it every time now because I am of royal blood. That is a fact. So I want to commune with the most high ancestors that I can locate. Okay, we out here doing some work. So but yes, how to commune with your ancestors. These oracle cards. What you do is you find peace within your body, and you can ask, to start off, just ask simple questions. Like, you know, in fact, what I would do is I would say, what do you want to say to me? Ask what they want to say to you, and you just flip through the cards, and whichever cards fall out or whichever cards grab your attention, trust the first thought. That's the most important thing. That is the most important thing. Trust the first thought that you have as soon as you see a card. The first thing that you think that it means, that is what it means. You have to trust your first thought. That is where your truth lies. Don't overanalyze. Sometimes you got to work through the understanding. Sometimes you got to keep an open ear if you're dissecting, but go with your gut. Remember, that's your intuitive space. You have to be able to trust your intuitive space. Okay, because the spiritual realm is a space of surety. So I think oracle cards are a great way to start. In fact, before I close out with you guys, I will do an oracle reading if you've stuck around long enough. And then, just start to learn how they communicate with you, the types of messages that they relay, the types of emotions that they evoke within you, the type of feeling that you get in your atmosphere when you know that they're around. It's a process of learning how to coexist with the spiritual realm in a physical body. Anyway, let me go back up. I felt negative from tarot cards. That's a great comment because I don't even like tarot cards. Tarot cards are predestined forms of communication, and it's come from I don't want to call it ancient, but it's come from very olden ways of communing with spirits. Even the references and the words and the depictions and all of that, they're cool, but you can't, just like the Bible, it is a culmination of a bunch of shit. And if it does not resonate with your spirit, then it's probably because a part of it is not in your best interest. And I've never gotten down with tarot, which is why I went ahead and created my own oracle cards. When you're doing oracles, that's an intuitive working. That is it's a like you trusting yourself. You wrote the words. Nobody else wrote those words. You picked the cards. You put the energy into that paper, so forth and so on. You understand? So feeling negative energy about tarot, I totally get. I'm not going to sit here and call every tarot reader evil. I'm just going to say that all of that energy didn't come from me. So that's not something that I want to entirely claim. I love your voice and your eyes. Oh, thank you so much. Where our legions comes from? Like legions meaning like the company of negative spirits. I mean, everybody has their place in space and time. I don't visit their quarters very often, so I can't tell you where they live. But they're there, yin and yang, even getting out of the idea that there is a devil, like there is a necessary evil that exists. How would you know light if you didn't know darkness? How would you know good if you didn't know evil? So the whole simulation of this experience is getting to know the dualities and the necessaries for why they are here. If I were given everything that I needed from birth, and I wouldn't have to lift a finger, I would not have the necessary skill sets and strength and knowledge to be able to conquer myself and the world around me. So there has to be some type of energetic influence to get you to get up off your ass to evolve, because that's the whole point, is a spiritual evolution of self, getting to know yourself and evolving it higher and higher. Spirit wants to grow, and remember, you are a unique imprint of spirit. So if spirit wants to grow and evolve, then that means you got work to do. Don't you know that ye yourselves are temples of the Most High? So if the Most High is living within you, then the Most High wants to evolve and grow. So get to work. Learn yourself, learn the dualities, learn your modalities, learn the truths, release the fictions, so forth and so on. So again, I don't know where our opposition lives. That's none of my business. I just know that they don't live within my space. And if they come within my space, then I call upon my myriads of myriads. And we get to work. And that's how that goes. If you know, then you know why I'm here. If you know, then you know why I'm here. Who are you? Gato, Ya God, Ya Uda. Make yourself known. You know, games are for little ones. I like straightforwardness. Expose yourself. Who are you? Make it plain. You can look at me and know who I am, which is why you've made an appearance. You are endlessly supported by Source and our ancestors. Absolutely. I love your voice. Thank you so much. Do you know why I am here? Do you know why you are here? Do you know what has attracted you to this space? Proceed. You have my permission. Thank you. I gotta say, wow. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can you send me that? Send me a DM on TikTok and I will send you the written version of the Kameteu is what it's called. I'm so glad that resonated. The vibratory frequencies are not only healing, but they realign you to your most inner alive parts. I have chieftain in my bloodline. Interesting. Do they ever reach out first? Absolutely. Absolutely. My granny is my closest ancestor. That she was the introduction to me getting to know the rest. I grew up in a divided household, so I was back and forth between my mom and my dad all the time. And, you know, obviously I'm a very special person. So I wasn't able to commune with my sisters and my mom and my dad on a regular level. But my granny, whenever we were together, she's also a very special person. But whenever we were together, she would talk to me, see me, explain things to me, tell me about her life, you know, just all the things. She was very intentional about building a relationship with me because she saw me. And when she passed, before she passed, we were having a conversation and I was able to get to know the heavy and the weary on her mind and her heart, which is what caused the expiration of her body. But after she passed, she came to me energetically in the form of a dragonfly. And I just knew, my intuition was like the way that this dragonfly flew. First of all, it was outside with me. And I didn't notice, like I noticed it, but I was like, okay, beautiful, huge, gorgeous dragonfly, gorgeous, awesome. I walk into the grocery store. The dragonfly has followed me into the grocery store and is sitting on top of the bell peppers in the produce section. There are no coincidences, you understand? So I had to stop, right? Because spirit will interact with you in a way that lets you intuitively know that something outside of the norm is taking place. So that means that you have to do you have to go within and make sense of what you're experiencing. You have to trust your first thought and allow that to create a pattern of validity within you. I hope I'm still making sense. So that was her. And then after that moment, it continued to happen. It continued to happen. There was even a time where I was in a relationship with this guy and he was heavy manipulative on my spirit and my mind, like whole magician type stuff. It held me down for a long time. But I was on a phone call with him. I'm telling y'all this. I was on a phone call with him and we were on FaceTime for a short period of time. And I kid you not, I'm walking into the backyard and my spirit is like, I'm really done. I'm really tired of like having this confusion over my mind about who I'm dealing with. And I looked at my FaceTime. I'm not saying this out loud, but I looked at my FaceTime and I looked at his face. He didn't even have the same face. He looked like a gargoyle. Like I was able to see right into his spirit and the shit was nasty. Okay, but because I'm also in love, or because I just don't want to believe what I'm seeing, I dismissed my intuition. It was so crazy how it felt like a mental fragmented disability in that moment, if that makes any sense. I completely dismissed my intuition. So I'm sitting down on the phone with him out of nowhere, right, while he's talking about further committing, because that's the idea, that was, lock it down. Huge dragonfly that's bigger than my hand. Oh my God, have you ever, bigger than, almost the size of my face. She was the size of my face, came right in front of me and landed on my bag right where my phone was sitting. And my entire body was shook and frozen and paralyzed for a moment. And he's sitting on the phone like, yo, what's up? And I didn't want to move. I didn't want to talk, nothing. So I had to shut everything else out to tune in to what the fuck. And then I understood that my granny, who can perceive what I cannot, your ancestors are all over the place. So they can hear the conversations that you can. They can see what people are doing when you can't. So she knew what was going on. And she's like, girl, this is not it. So absolutely, they will meet you where you at in a way that is irrefutable, in a way that is consistently recognizable, so that you can gain faith in being able to perceive the spiritual realm. So, yeah. Do they ever reach out first? Yes. That's not always a good thing. I don't know what you mean. I use a pencil or pen and allow them to flow. Hold on, hold tight. Hold tight. Because there are a lot of comments. I love this part, if you guys will allow me to have fun. See, right now, somebody trying to get into my space. I don't want to text you. I'm doing my work right now. It's me and the Most High out here. We doing work for y'all. You're welcome. Okay, here we go. Cancel. I use a pencil and pen and allow them to flow through the paper. Facts. Yeah. There was a point in time where I was able to write out. I was able to hear and write out a message from an ancestor, rather than having to use oracle cards. I was able to trust my intuition and write out the entire vocalized message. Well, obviously it wasn't vocalized in a way where I can hear it, but I could hear it, if you understand what I'm saying. I was just telling this to my brother an hour ago. Awesome! Can you make a video post reciting that prayer? For sure. Absolutely. I will. Girl, give me a damn kiss and cut all that out. What is going on? I called on my higher self and I followed the first thought. Exactly. I'm still here. Who are you? Y'all are so intentional. Just a moment. I want to call out those who are so very intentional about making themselves known. Who art thou? I love my oracle cards. Me too, girl. Generator, operator, destroyer. Okay. Yes, I would like an oracle reading. If you want an oracle reading, if you want a reading with me, send me a message on TikTok and I will give you a reading. I will even give a free reading to, I will pick a name out of all of the ones that come through my inbox and I will give you a free reading. So yes, please, if you want a reading, hit me in my DM and we can get to work. I was doubtful, but I followed it. I was not let down. You cannot refute what you experience. Our mind, just like how I went through my fragmented mental disability and tried to ignore what I was literally looking at and what I felt within my gut. You destroy your intuitive space when you deny what you perceive. You cannot refute your experience. I have O-type. Is that royalty? O type is I'm not gonna say yes, but I'm not gonna say no. O type is definitely original, hence the O. But even within the first population of mankind, you still had hierarchy. You still had a royal family, if you would. And that goes for every space of life, even in nature. You could have a whole herd or whatever of something, but you still have your higher ups within them. So simply having O doesn't necessarily mean that you have royal blood, but being of the initial absolutely makes you also very special. How do you make oracle cards? I don't know if you caught me explaining how to make oracle cards before, but I'll explain it one more time really quickly. So go and get some stock paper that resonates with your spirit. Mine is fluorescent. It's a bunch of beautiful, pretty colors. You'll see them at the end of this live because I'm going to give a free oracle reading. But go and get some stock paper. Cut it up into whatever size cards that you want. Make sure they all match in size. It'll probably take you a while unless you have like a big paper cutter. Just do what you got to do. And then on the back sides of them, intuitively write whatever messages come out to you. I was intentional, but I was also intuitive. So because I am a metaphysician, there were certain things that I absolutely wanted to be involved in my cards, which were numbers, because as a metaphysician, you have to study numerology. I also wanted to involve the zodiacs, because as a metaphysician, you want to be able to know the zodiacal meanings of things, astrology and whatnot. So I have each sign in my cards. I have every number between 1 and 10, actually 1 and 13. And I even have some certain colors, because that's the thing too. But then all of the rest of them are intuitive messages, like prison, bad health, good health, lover, sweet love, romance, marriage, just things that called out to me, called out to my spirit. It could be whatever. So just go with your intuition when you're writing out what you want to put on the backs of your cards. You are awesome. Thank you so much. How you make oracle cards? We are just a vessel. Your hair goes hard. Thank you. Shoot, I was doing a little bit of my retie today. I still didn't finish. Thank you so much. Balance must exist. Absolutely. Is devolve the opposite of evolve? You weren't talking to me anyway. Hello, story. Oh, what's up, Cold Grits? What's up, man? How are you? It's good to see you up and through here. May your ancestors continue to show favor upon you and your endeavors. Asheo. The flowers grow in the rain. The Bible says spiritism is false. I'm pretty sure it does. On that note, I got my negative to keep other negative from my positive. What is going on with my phone? I wish you guys could see what is happening. It's 222, first of all. And my phone is completely glitching. Like, I can't press anything, but it's still live. Every time I touch the screen, it like blinks of light. I don't know if you could see that, but I'm at a complete glitch right now. At 222, that's crazy. Okay, there we go. What? How do you feel about hoodoo? Do you think practicing it is necessary? Hoodoo has never called out to me, so I don't know about it enough to speak on it. It's more of a channeling than a feeling information download. You're protected, can see this. Facts. How do you feel about hoodoo? Explain to me what hoodoo is, like the premise of it, and I'll tell you what I think. Because I've heard of voodoo. I can tell you what I feel about that. See, love, evolve, devolve, revolve, involve, wave function, spring, summer, fall, winter. Only snakes hide. If you see this, I hope you become a millionaire. Keep going. Thank you so much, Prince. I surely will accept that. You're talking mumbo jumbo. Thank you so much. The folding and unfolding of reality is wave function, like your breathing is wave function. Absolutely. How you been? It's cold out here. But I am absolutely in love with my spiritual journey, and it is absolutely necessary for the crowning of my experience. And I am more than willing to continue whatever commissions I am being assigned because of the responsibility and the duty that I know that I have out here in these streets. So I have been good. Reflection leads to revelation. You have on supernatural powers. How do you know? Thank you for sharing your knowledge. I am getting spiritually tired, need help. Ooh, Chrissy, how are you? If you're still here, girl, DM me and we can get to work. I'll help you out. There's none to it. Sorry to hear. Similar experience. And we can get to work. I'll help you out. There's none to it. Sorry to hear. Similar experience. And we can get to work. I'll help you out. There's none to it. Sorry to hear. Similar experience. To make sense of what you perceive so that she is there as if she never left. Who did your hair, what you perceive so that she is there as if she never left. Who did your hair, what you perceive so that she is there as if she never left. Who did your hair, 12-year thing, I get that. What? I've seen that in people. We see with our minds, not our eyes. All right, for sure. All right, listen. I have to go because someone is beckoning my energy. I really appreciate long time no see, Lioness. Asheo. Hopefully we run into each other again in good space. I will be back possibly. If you want more of all of this, follow me. And then when I go live, you'll get notified and you can dive in with me again. I love doing this. I will probably be doing this again in another early morning sometime soon. I love y'all so much. Thank you for communing with me. Do not forget about your myriads upon myriads of spiritual support because you are absolutely fire as hell out here and we can do it collectively together. And I will see y'all on the side that flips.